Target 5 is converting radicals to rational exponents. So radicals and rational exponents are related to each other, and you can convert them back and forth. Target 5, we're going to be converting from a radical expression, which is what we have right here, and then converting them to a power expression that has a rational exponent. Now, one of the things you need to remember, rational exponents, rational means any number that can be written as a fraction. So rational exponents are exponents that are fractions. So here first, we have a radical term, the nth root of a to the m power. We're looking at the n and the m. The n is your index. That tells you how many common factors you have to have in order to take a factor out of the radical. So n is your index, m is the power of your radicand. Now if you look down here, to convert it to a rational expression with a rational function, actually in exponential form with a rational function, m, which was the power of the radicand, becomes the numerator of your exponent. N becomes the index is the denominator of your rational term. So let's say if we have the cube root, hold on a second. Let's say you have the cube root of x to the third, or let's say squared. Squared. So this is your index. The index is always the denominator of your exponent, and then this is the power of your radicand. So to write that as an exponent in exponential form with a rational exponent, you would have the 2 would be your numerator, your index is your denominator, and then that is your final answer. So if you have the square root of, let's say 5 to the third, then if there's no number there, it means square root, so it really means the index is 2 because it's a square root. So you can always start by putting your index as the denominator, the power of your radicand is your numerator. So you'd have 5 to the 3/2 power. Okay, here's your first lesson check. Go ahead and write your answer down. Rewrite the following using the rational exponents. Make sure you identify the numerator of the exponent and the denominator of the exponent. So write your answer down. You can enter it into your lesson check when you're finished with the lesson. Okay, the next question. One thing to remember is that if you have the power, a to the m power, on the inside of your radical, that's the same as if you raise the entire expression. So you can write them either way. So you can bring that radical, the exponent inside or on the outside. So, and we have the 5th root of 3 raised to the 4th power. That would be the same thing as bringing this exponent here into the radicand, which would be the 5th root of 3 to the 4th power. So I just want you to know, because you're going to see your homework is going to be written like this, but a lot of times we write it like this, and that's just because the software for the homework writes it that way. But just so you know, it's the same thing. So if we have like this is an example of one you'll see on your homework. Then you always identify your index first, because that's going to be the denominator. So you're going to have 3 to your index is 5, and then you raise to the 4th power, so that would be your numerator. So this would be 3 to the 4/5 power. That is equivalent to the 5th root of 3 raised to the 4th power. Okay, here's a few more examples let's work through. So we know that our base will be x, and we're going to raise it to a fraction. 3 is my index, so that's the denominator, and then 2 goes on top because that's the power it's raised to. So that would be x to the 2/3 power. Here, the base of my exponential term would be 5. My denominator, the index is 2, and then this power is the numerator, so 4. Now, you should always simplify your fractions, because you can simplify 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2 over 1, or just 2, so your answer is 5 squared. And you can expand to make that 25. Okay? Now here, when you have more than one factor, the examples we've done so far, you've had one factor in the radical. Here's an x, here's a 5. Here we have a 2 and an x. So it's important that you remember that this squared power goes to the 2 and the x. So there's a couple things you can do. Probably the easiest thing to do is to keep your 2x in parentheses. If you keep your 2x in parentheses, then you'll be fine. The denominator is your index, so that would be 3. Numerator is 2. So as long as you keep that in parentheses, you're okay. If you write this, you're wrong. Okay, so if you don't remember your parentheses, because this exponent is going to just the x, but it really needs to go to both factors. So you cannot do this. You can either write it like this, or you can write 2 to the 2/3 power, x to the 2/3 power. Either of these is equivalent. This is probably the most easy and direct way, so I imagine most of you will probably try that way, but whatever makes sense to you. Okay, the next example, same thing here. The 7 and the x are in parentheses, so we're going to keep them in parentheses and then raise them to the denominator is 4, and then the exponent is 7, so it would be 7x raised to the 7/4 power. Okay, now that's it for your lesson today. This is going to be a short lesson, short homework. The other lesson I'm going to put on will be going the other direction. We'll be going from rational exponents to radicals, but it's the same idea. Okay, here's your second lesson check. Convert to power with rational exponents. You have the cube root of 6n raised to the 2nd power. Go ahead and write your answer down. The next one is convert to power with rational exponents. Okay, and that's it. Write down your 3 lessons, enter them into your lesson check. Make sure you're doing those. You have 4 attempts on those, so you can try them multiple times. Let me know if you're having trouble with those. Your homework is short. I think there's like 10 questions. So we have 3 more assignments this week, and then we're going to